All right, recording.
Awesome.
Yep.
Turn this up a bit more, just in case, because I am sitting pretty far away from it. All right. Can never tell how that camera looks. Okay. All right, we're good to go. You want to kick this off like you always do?
All right. Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the No Name Podcast with your two favorite hobos living out of their parents' garage, Daniel and your boy, Adventure Karma, or as it says on the screen, you. You. So, welcome back to the Daniel and You podcast, where Daniel screams at you for 2 hours.
Let's go. My favorite hours.
All right, so I believe you have the topic for us today.
Indeed, I do. I wanted to talk about video games.
Whoa.
Because that's a fun thing to talk about. That's something teenage boys like to talk about.
Yeah.
My dad was joking about that with me.
I mean, he's not wrong.
He ain't, though. So I guess just to start it off, just like talking about... Oh, video cut.
That's nice. On my end. Hold up.
Editing, that's always a pain, you know?
I'm sorry. My camera is very sensitive, and I try not to bump it, but my PC is literally about 2 inches away from my chair, so...
Oh, well. Can't be helped. Anyways, yeah. Video games. I guess to start it off, we can just nerd out or geek out about video games that we grew up with. And just for anybody who cares, my camera is up that high. Sorry that you have to see my big forehead, but that's the situation right now. I'm trying to fix it. Yeah, it was something I'm experimenting with for a few more videos. A more permanent placement for the tripod instead of next to the desk where it can be bumped. So... anyways, video games. What games, Adventure Karma, did you grow up with? Video games.
So, once again, this is weird. I basically have to split my life into 2 different parts. There's Washington part and Texas part, because my life radically changed in between those. So back when I lived in Washington, really I had 2 games that I grew up with. Well, actually 3, but I hate one of them. At least that mainly played. So, of course, Minecraft. Minecraft's basically been there since the beginning. Even though I realize it came out, actually pretty late in comparison to when my consciousness is, but that's always the one I remembered. There's also Star Wars The Force Unleashed on the Wii, which I still absolutely love. And then the third was Star Wars The Clone Wars for the Wii, which to this day, I've had this game for at least about a decade. I have not gone past the 3rd level because the game makes me so angry about how badly designed it is that I give up. So, I also had a DS, so I guess another really big one would have been Pokemon. I grew up on White 2, and I've been a big fan of Pokemon ever since. Other than that, not really. There's a few games here and there. Unturned is a weird indie game that I grew up on, kind of, but that came later.
Yeah. That's cool. Minecraft always seems to be the mainstay. I certainly grew up with that, although much later in my childhood. We're talking I only got into it 4 or 5 years ago, maybe. So I was in there relatively late to the party. But it was something that as soon as I started playing, it was this is here to stay. I still have it on all my computers. It's it's interesting. So you had Star Wars: The Force Unleashed on the Wii. You still have that? You still have that Wii?
I still have it. Yeah, I recently just got done with playing through it again. Actually,
that's awesome.
Once again, I still love the game.
That's awesome. Which one? Force Unleashed. I was always told about these Star Wars games on the Wii, but I never got to really play them. I had a Wii because my dad got a Wii in that bundle with the Wii Remote and the Wii Sports in the paper sleeve. if I recall right, it was actually the Wii Sports with like the rare year copyright with the cutscene removed or something. I don't quite
Oh,
remember,
I think I
but
know what you're talking about. Yeah.
um, yeah, there's like this 1.00 version of Wii Sports that's like 5% of all the copies out there or something. It's like rare. I don't remember, but I grew up on Wii Sports. That was like the first video game I ever played, I guess you could say.
Mm-hmm.
That's certainly the one that I remember. My childhood game, though, if yours was Pokemon, mine was uh, this game off of the so you know the Pixar movie Cars, right?
Yeah. Oh, I think I know
Yeah,
where you're
so
going.
so I didn't grow up with the Cars video game. I actually grew up with its sequel, the Mater National, um, which I, after watching a bunch of playthroughs on YouTube, came to realize that it's actually the worst of the two. The first one's actually better, and the second one is like a crude-ish spin-off, but it's such a staple in my childhood that I can't really hate on it a ton because it's like I beat that whole game like a multiple times as a kid. It was my favorite thing. Um what else? Um I did collect a lot of Wii games over time.
I
Um
have an entire like cabinet just full of Wii games, and I play like 3 consistently. And by consistently, I mean every 2 months I get bored and I'm like, I should go play on my Wii. And then a
mate,
week
when
later,
I'm
I forget about it again.
mate, when I visit you, you and I we should play some Wii. Let's see if I still
Honestly,
got some chops.
let's do it.
Ah, there's another game that my me and my siblings grew up on was New Super Mario Brothers Wii. That was
Oh
like
yeah.
that was the pinnacle of video game happiness for us because there's so many memories attached to that game for us. There's because like it was just chaos because only two of us really know how to play the game decently, and the other two were just just doing God knows what. And that was fun. Mario Kart Wii, of course.
Of
That
course.
one was fun.
I don't think
I probably
anyone hasn't had Mario Kart Wii as their childhood. Even people who are like, I never owned a Wii, I'm still convinced that at some point they have that as a core memory.
at some point you have to have any Mario Kart game. Like when I would go up to visit my uncles, and this is actually an interesting thing to talk about that I will talk a lot about probably because so my uncles on like the once or twice a year we would go to visit them. They were always like super. I always idolized them because they were masters at so many things.
Hmm.
In regards to just about everything. And one of those things was video games. They had like every, seemingly for my little brain and for my like 7-year-old me, and even still, it amazes me because it seems like they have every video game in existence. And I played that from them. I learned about Kirby games, and
Oh.
I played. There's some very good memories of me playing Mario Party with my uncles and aunts, but
Hmm.
like the original Mario Party 2 and 3 on the Nintendo 64, which was actually my dad's Nintendo 64 that he left up there. And it was super fun because Mario Party was like that one of those first games. I don't believe that any kid has ever lived without a Mario Kart game, right?
Honestly.
Because my uncles also have this GameCube, like one of the first
Dang.
GameCubes actually, and they have Mario Kart Double Dash. That is a crazy game. That is so much fun to play. Um, Mario Party was a staple. Smash Brothers Brawl, because we had a
Yes.
Wii. Okay, listen. So I follow this Smash gamer who's got like notorious through playing Melee, the GameCube version, and now he's playing Ultimate or something.
Hmm.
And apparently, it's like a general consensus among all Smash, like true Smashers, that Brawl was a bad game because it was like badly designed. It took away from Melee a ton. And I can't give it much hate because I grew up with that game. And at that time, heck, any game that I play is something I could never take for granted. It's like everything about anything I ever played was always so special to me. Because, and especially with Brawl too, because Dad and I would play the story mode.
Oh, you're breaking up. Oh, he's gone.
Such a fun game.
Ah.
Oh, I lost. Oh, I'm gone.
You're back.
Hello.
You're back. Hello.
Oh shoot! It never told me I died. Hello.
I don't think it was on my end. It could have been on my end, but I don't know. You're here now. You're alive.
I'm here now. Okay, I'm alive. Okay, sorry.
That's okay.
Oh, heavy lag. Hold on. Are you there?
Yeah, I'm here.
Okay. One moment. Someplace, huh? This is beautiful. Okay. Still functioning?
Yep.
Okay, still functioning. I guess the notification won't pull up that. Anyways, so I don't want this to be just about me talking for like ages. Let's talk about like, cause so you know Smash Bros. You know Brawl.
Yeah, so I will say this is that as somebody who like finds like game things just interesting and how they work and like how they participate in a competitive thing. Yeah, if you play Brawl and then you play Ultimate and understand like how the game's kind of works and functions on a more mechanical basis other than someone's just having fun. Yeah, Brawl is horrible. Like, it is super bad at what you need for the competitive scene, but I personally think that's a lot more fun because this is my favorite thing to do. I love Sonic because Sonic is so broken in every Smash Bros. Games that I've played. Not because he's good, he's just impossible to kill. Like, you can't do anything, but you also like can't die, and it gets people really angry, and it's hilarious.
My sister, we have these great memories about so one of my sisters was an extraordinary stickler when it came to video games. Like, she would latch on to one character or do one thing and refuse to change. Even if it was the actual cause of her losing everything, she didn't care. So she gravitated to Peach when we first got Brawl. And Peach was her main for ages. And then she found Sonic. She tried something new. And then when we unlocked Sonic, she's like, you know what? I'll try Sonic. And she just obliterated all of us, like more than half the time we played, because she would somehow always get the final smash quickest. And then, like,
that's right.
You know, Sonic's final smash in that game is like super like ridiculous. It was so horrendous to play with her, but she just wouldn't die. It made no sense, and it would just send my dad rolling. And the rest of us kids were like, "Oh my gosh, how did you do this? You're just some dumb Peach. How did you do this?" It made no sense.
Yeah, that's Brawl. Just random characters are just extremely OP, and nothing is ever done about it.
Well, Meta Knight, I liked Meta Knight just because of how he looked, and then I realized that he is like literally unkillable.
Yeah, I find
because his moveset allows for him to glide underneath an entire stage and come back around if you do it right. It's like you can just like. No wonder he got banned in some tournaments. It's like, that's crazy.
Yeah, that was really my first introduction to the esports scene, was just finding out that Meta Knight was banned from Brawl tournaments, and that was the funniest thing ever to me.
Yeah, they're so funny, because, like, it's always interested me, too, that kind of game, there's, like, you know, there's tier lists of characters and such, and the tier list of the characters between all of the games is incredibly inconsistent. Yeah. Because, like, so we have my dad's old N64 back. He got it back from the uncles and now has all of the games. So we have the Mario Party games to ourselves. He also had Smash 64. So we play Smash 64 a lot. And Kirby is one of the strongest characters in that game, I think. Either that or my sister really knows how to use her properly. Him properly, I'm sorry. I'm thinking of Jigglypuff. Somebody else was using Jigglypuff. But yeah, my sister was incredible at Kirby in Brawl and in Smash 64. But in Melee, Kirby's like the worst character, second to Bowser. And like for a game like Ultimate with like God knows how many characters, it's like the heck with making a tier list for that. There's no, because I've played Ultimate and I played like a ton of different characters, and I'm like, you can. I mean, for any game, it doesn't really matter what character you use because you can get good with any of them. But in a competitive sense, I get that there's certain characters that are more desirable than others. Yeah. I mean, in Melee, you've got Fox and Falco and Jigglypuff and all that, and you don't want to use Bowser. You don't want to use Ganondorf for Martha's good. But it's always amused me how inconsistent the tier lists can be just across the different games. Like even in Smash 4 on the 3DS, which is where I got actually introduced to Smash before we got Brawl. My uncles showed me Smash 4 on the 3DS. Mm-hmm. It was just chaotic to me at the time. It was like it makes no sense to me how it has to be that inconsistent.
Yeah, it is strange. I think it's rather interesting though. Although I must say is that I don't really like Ultimate. I still love Brawl more, just because I think Ultimate kind of went the opposite direction, and I don't know. I feel like too many of the characters are like way too similar.
Yeah. Well, eventually you run out of variety, I guess, with that many characters.
That is.
But they do some pretty. They do a good job including variety, like in some places. I mean, I remember when Steve was introduced, and like he was completely different.
Oh yeah.
He was, because they incorporated the essence of Minecraft into him, mm-hmm. and he wasn't just some. Ooh, we just threw in Steve because pop culture. No, we threw in like all of Minecraft into that game.
Yeah, you can enslave villagers in Super Smash Brothers now.
Yeah, that was, man. I remember when we played Smash Ultimate with the uncles. My siblings just could not get off of Steve because they were like, "Oh my gosh, Minecraft is trash." Though speaking of Minecraft, it's quite interesting, and I've actually wanted to talk to someone about this for quite a long time, because Minecraft has the most interesting legacy, I think, of almost any game in existence, because it's so simple, but it's so open, and every element of it, depending on when you were born, is either nostalgic or like wicked awesome, or both, or just this mixed variety of anything that's like incredible. Like it totally like shatters your mind almost. It shatters my mind even still when I play it. And so it's like, I don't know, I guess I just want to talk about the legacy of Minecraft for a bit, because it's so insane. Because like, it doesn't seem to me like the kind of game to have such a following that it does. Like all this lore and stuff that's like never actually in the game, but more like implied, but it's still kind of there.
Yeah. And
there's all these folklore legends about it and stuff, and I don't know, that's pretty fantastic.
Yeah, I think what it is that Minecraft is literally the epitome of a sandbox game. Like, it quite literally just drops you into a world with no context and no real instructions. I mean, they're kind of instructions in the beginning now. They're like, go punch a tree. Back in my day, you just had to look at the tree and make the logical connection that, oh, I should punch it, which is a logical connection. I feel like it wasn't before Minecraft, but now like that's the go-to thing. I think it's made some weird imprints on how we play games now, because let's be honest, there's really no correlation between being dropped into world and punching a tree, other than it happens in Minecraft.
Oh, it changed everything in my eyes. It changed everything about gaming in general.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, like, it was a logical connection for me when I first played it that to destroy a tree, I didn't have to just. I had to do more than just click the mouse. I had to hold on the button and wait for the tree to destruct because all I would do is rapidly click the mouse, and I was waiting for something to happen, and then I fall into a pit, and I'm like, okay, I'm never getting out of here alive. And then I actually figured out, oh, you hold the button. Oh, and then from there, it was like, yeah, there's instructions in it now, but it's like, and I came in late too. Like I came in
Mm-hmm.
at like one. The earliest I played was 1.12, I think. So
Dang,
relatively speking, I'm really late
you're a
because
newbie, bro.
I never got I was never really I never got into PC gaming like
Mm-hmm.
that. Like we had a Wii in my family. That was
Yeah.
all we had. And then the disc reader died one day, and so then all we used it for was like Netflix or something.
Mm-hmm.
But I never got into PC games until way later because it was just never something that came up. I didn't even know about it because I had a Wii, and to me, the Wii was the world
Yeah.
because I took everything as this massive blessing or something. So
Mm-hmm.
yeah, I'm still pretty noobish about it, even though I've studied it and like I've gotten into the game as much as I can, and I've done stuff, and I've watched like all the YouTubers and such, and I know like a lot of stuff about the game and the lore
Mm-hmm.
and all the fan base and such. But yeah, like you came in, shoot.
Um,
How old are you if it comes to this? You're just only like a few months older than me too, but you're way earlier than this.
yeah, I don't want to say like I'm early or anything. Like I don't remember like the early days, but I came in relatively early. And the hard thing is I don't exactly remember. I want to say I came in around maybe late 2012. Like it's definitely when Minecraft was recognizable, but was still in the early days. Like I remember when things like horses were added.
Hmm.
I remember just basic texture updates and stuff like that really improving the game. Like I was definitely there vaguely early, but I don't think I was there like since the beginning.
Back when stuff was simple, and now there's like additions to the Nether and such, and it's split into like three different factions.
Yeah.
And there's a speedrunning scene around Minecraft now.
Yeah, that is bro, that stuff blows my mind. It's weird. I feel
The
like
speedrunning.
yeah, I feel like everybody like a few months ago just like was kind of realized. I don't know if this was just me, but I feel like YouTube a few months ago decided that oh, speedrunning's a thing, and like everybody started learning about speedrunning. Like it's
Oh no,
like
I no, go ahead.
well, I was just saying that for like the majority of people, like of course there's people who care about speedrunning for their favorite games, and I was aware of it, but only recently in the last few months has it actually been something that I started paying attention to and actually starting to get to know some of the personalities in there. Like I was aware of its existence and like I knew what it was and I knew that there was a leaderboards.com, but it was
Yeah.
never something that interested me until YouTube was like, "Hey, do you want to watch these people?" And I'm like, "Not really." And it's like, "I won't recommend you anything else." And I'm happy I didn't.
Yeah. It was the same for me, except about a year ago. Not
Hmm.
just a few months ago, but it started like a year ago, and it started with Super Mario 64.
Hmm.
Because I guess somebody knew that I was playing the game, because that's one of the other games my dad had from the old N64. And so I started learning like a lot, and I started following some speedrunners, and I started learning how to do the tricks. And um, a month or so ago, I beat the game by doing the backwards long jump up the endless
Oh.
staircase before I got 70 stars. And I was grinding and grinding so hard to get up to that final level. And all of a sudden, I've watched like all of my siblings are around me, and my dad's in the room too. And they're all just watching me. And I nail it, and like the room exploded, dude. It was like because they're like, "Oh my gosh, he did the shortcut, he did the cheat!" Ah, it was so cool, and uh it's kind of stuff like that, and there's stuff like that like everywhere, of course, but like I don't know. The speedrunning stuff is very interesting because I'm I like watching speedrunners and I like watching world records of the games that I like.
Hmm.
In that sense. But it's like, how do you say it? I don't know. With Minecraft, it's different. There's a different kind of scene because to me, it seems to be one of the most split scenes. Like, I don't know if you know this, but I'm going to nerd out about it a bit because, like, a while ago, and I don't know if it's still like this today, there were or is two different factions of the speedrunners. There's the what I will call the purists and the modernists of the Minecraft speedrunning scene. Because in Minecraft speedrunning, due to how the game functions and to how vast it is, there was a certain rule at one point, I don't know if it still exists, that you can pause the game during a speed run, and there's a separate timer that runs while the game is paused, and there's a timer that runs only when gameplay is active.
Uh-huh.
So you have two times, and people will pause to think about their motions or run some math in their head because apparently Minecraft speedrunning involves a lot of math. There's
does.
odds to getting
Yeah.
blaze rods and the powder in the eyes and hoping that the ender eyes don't like break when they fall or something. There's a ton of math, which makes the cheating exposing like that much grander because the odds are like 117 billion to 1 or something. Is like, it's crazy, but people do this pause thing sometimes, and that's what I call the modernist side of it. The purist side are those who think that the pausing is wrong because every other game doesn't have such a functionality. You don't get to think. That's kind of the point of speedrunning. You have to make these decisions to save the run. That's every other game in existence. And so it's interesting to see that the Minecraft legacy has gotten even to this point where there's not only a speedrunning faction, but kind of a civil war between the speedrunners themselves. Like, not many games even have that. Like, that just goes to show you how huge it is. It's like the most speedrun game on speedrun.com, I think.
Yeah, because that's actually interesting. Because I get that's interesting because I get both sides of it. Because like, I can see how it's like you can't pause because it's a speed run. You have to make those quick choices, which I mean in general I agree with. But at the same time, when you have something like Minecraft, like let's take Mario 64, and I know a little bit about that. But you know, there's set paths that you take in Mario 64. If you mess up,
Yeah.
like at the very least, you can just run it again. It's more about just running it, as I understand it, until you can get that quickest time, find optimizations when the right times are do stuff. But something like Minecraft, you can't really try again in a way. You have to completely restart. You can't just keep trying that route over and over again. Assuming it's random seed. If it's set seed, that's different.
Well, if it is random seed, then yeah, there are random seed and set seed for each category. It's funny too because Minecraft is split into like it's like pre 1.16 and then post 1.16.
Yeah.
And then for both of those, there's either random seed or set seed, and you have to determine whether it's random or set seed. And yeah, the thing is, yeah, with Minecraft, even if it was set seed, though, there's the very essence of like certain things in Minecraft is that it's like you rely on so much RNG. With a game like Super Mario 64, and I know this because I've played it enough and watched enough speedruns. There's basically nothing random about it. It's all about the precision of your fingers. It's all about the inputs. You could theoretically, on like in a perfect world, you can blindfold speedrun Super Mario 64 as long as you have memorized, if your muscle memory is that good.
Yeah.
Because it's all about the inputs. There is no RNG like that in Super Mario 64. It's a completely different kind of game. And so there's not this kind of like pause thing. And like it's never in any other game either. So this pause thing is interesting. I personally am like leaning on one of those purist sides. I don't think the pausing should be allowed because it defeats the purpose of of speedrunning a game to begin with. And if you're going to allow it for that, you should for, I don't know, anything. But it's interesting because it can be quite abused. The whole point of the pause rule was to give it like a little bit of breathing room, but people took that tiny loophole and like expanded it to where they like take 10 minutes to consider their next move on the dragon or something. So I don't know.
So what? Yeah. So what I would say about that is that I think that brings up to this weird dichotomy that I see in speedrunning, that there's really two different ways to look at speedrunning. And like this isn't like you either fall in one or the other. I think it's just two general mindsets you can have. One is pushing like the human ability to play a game to the limit, something like Super Mario 64 skips. And I think there's another type which is pushing the game to its limits, which is like using, tool assisted or a specific glitch, abusing that to how's just the fastest way we can get through this game? What's the quickest way we can break this game? I think that's what it kind of falls into. If you just want to go for human skill, don't pause, because that's about, like the humans and how well we can do that. But if you're looking just to see what is the fastest time like the game will allow you to do, the pausing makes sense. Because that's not really about what you can do, it's how you can affect the game.
I would also say to that, though, that if you're going to go on that second path, it shouldn't count as a record run.
Yeah, no, I am. Yeah.
I'm against people because that's what they do. They use that. They do that. Like, not even tool assisted, but even sometimes with tool assisted, I guess, just to study it or something. The problem is that they submit it as a run and then it gets on the leaderboard. If you're doing the pausing just to study it, which is fine because that's what people do in speedrunning games anyway, so that they can get better, you shouldn't submit that as a run. Yeah, this pause rule got abused to where now people can submit almost anything as a run, and it's not proper. It kind of defeats the spirit, but it's also like, I don't know. People study that kind of thing. Like, for skips in Super Mario 64, man, 0-star and 1-star category is like so painful. It's all about perfect inputs, and you've got to pray that you don't get like 0 framed or something. Or that's Mario Kart 64. I don't know. I think the term still applies, but it's like you've got to pray that you get that frame right area, like you're on that right part of the staircase, so that you BLJ up immediately instead of jumping like 5 times or something, because it's so precise now that we've gotten to the point where it needs to be like so tight. Now there's actually a bit of RNG coming in because your fingers can only move so fast or something. That's something that actually an NES game, Contra, is very interesting about, because it's all about that how fast can your fingers go. And it's actually something that you try as you might, some people just physically cannot get as good as they want at the game that they want to be because of how their hands are. It's very interesting.
Yeah.
What's it? Yeah, Minecraft has 487 active players on speedrun.com, the Java edition. Super Mario 64 with 441. And then the next few games fall drastically short in like the 200s. Minecraft is huge, but it's also interesting to me that such a game like Minecraft, which feels to me like it should be one of those old games, because it was released like 10 years ago now.
Yeah, no, it's
11
like
years?
Objectively like a really old game. Like, I think tech demos date back to like 2009, if I remember correctly.
Yeah.
Like, it's in the old days of even the internet. Like, also, I think that's something that I find interesting, is a lot of the YouTubers we also talk about like that, we talk about them like they were fairly recent, but a lot of them were like really old school YouTubers as well. Like, Minecraft is really like old internet days, if you want to go by internet timeline. Like, or at least YouTube
Minecraft,
timeline.
There was like a big 3 of that. It's like Minecraft was like that. FNAF was like that. There was one other game like that, I think, that basically predates or dates the internet, if you want to go there, because it's like YouTube. The oldest YouTube videos you can find of that stuff is like 2000. Like, well, Minecraft was released around that, because like YouTube is only like, it was made in 2006, but there's only so many videos in 2006. Stuff actually started getting posted around 2009. So
Yeah, like that stuff dates back to, well, I guess the Call of Duty scene was there before it. But like I think it still dates back to the time like YouTube is completely unrecognizable and is more of like a video storing platform than
yeah,
anything else. Like if I remember
back when a career
correctly,
on a
yeah, if I remember correctly, like Minecraft dates back to like before YouTube was really considered a place with its like own video creators and stuff, and it was more of just a general video sharing
oh yeah,
website.
it predates the whole YouTube being a career thing by like 3 or 4 years.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's crazy. But it's also interesting because while Minecraft, as you say, is objectively old, it also feels like it hasn't aged a day, because something about it has still retained its originality, and it still feels fresh and new, regardless of what you have to say about the new updates or something. Because I know there's people out there that like are starting to really get tired of all these updates, or like, when is Minecraft 2 gonna come out or something, like those trollers or something. But it's like, it feels so old, but at the same time it feels so new. And the fact that they still allow you to go back the into the oldest versions possible is like, I don't, it amazes me that anything can even live up to that. Like, I know vintage games like Super Mario 64 and heck, even the original Super Mario Brothers still live up to that, but like Minecraft is like a child compared to them. And it's like, it's crazy.
And the thing about the updates about Minecraft, this is specifically something I want to address here because I don't think I'll ever address on my channel, but I think it's important to Minecraft, is I am an old school supremacist. I actually liked it before the Microsoft takeover. But I will say is that I actually like a lot of the new updates. And for people who are like, oh, there's been too many updates, my response is A, it doesn't really change the core gameplay.
It doesn't.
It's not like it's
That's
forcing
true.
along a storyline. There's just more stuff for you to explore. It doesn't stop you from
Yeah.
playing the game.
It's
you
not
always
like there's another creature besides the dragon and the wither to defeat. It's not like that.
Yeah. Well, even then, I would say like adding something beyond that really doesn't change much as long as it is like a side boss. Like it's not gonna eclipse the Wither and the Ender Dragon. Nothing's stopping you from fighting them.
Yeah.
Now I will say there are some stuff that annoys me.
This is not,
I think stuff
sorry.
like the Phantom was stupid. I don't like the combat update. Not because I like the old combat system that much, because it was pretty bad. I just personally don't really like the way it feels in the new one. But I actually like this, because I remember, I think it was 1.7, that basically added horses. And, like, that was so exciting. And, like, now we have something where they completely reboot the Nether in, like, one update, and then 2 months later they have a new update. Like, I don't actually dislike that. I might disagree with some of the stuff they do, but I don't think it's like, stop updating it. It's like, nothing's stopping you from playing the older versions. So
Yeah.
it's like, I don't really get it.
The speedrunners, and I being a follower of many speedrunners, it's like the speedrunners never care about any updates. It just adds to the challenge, which they love.
Yeah.
It's not like they love or hate it because they still speedrun it. But so I was looking at it. You said you got into Minecraft in late 2012. The 2012 version of Minecraft in January was 1.1.
Yeah, that sounds about right, because I think I got in
So
there
if
near the beginning.
Wow. So you're an old vet. You're a seasoned warlord at this one. The horse update.
Technically.
The horse update is actually older than that. It's not 1.7. It's 1.6.1.
Oh, it's 1.6. Right.
1.5 is the first release of the Redstone update, which was 2013.
Oh, crud, man. That's right. Oh, I might have been in 2013 though. I don't remember if Redstone was really out whenever I joined. And I don't know, it's somewhere around that time. But like, yeah,
Redstone, man.
that's
That was the
something that you like
buzz
have
when
to
that was
think about.
released.
Yeah. Like I think it's also pretty cool. Like just I think this is like one of the examples I use to like why I love Minecraft is that from 2013, this sandbox game added redstones, and then a few years later, somebody made a functioning computer out of it.
Yeah.
Like stuff like that to me is just like that's why I love Minecraft because like less than a decade later, you make a computer inside of a computer game. Like I don't.
That is huge.
Yeah, and it's not
The
like it was
stuff,
designed to do that. That was entirely on that own person figuring out how the game worked.
yeah. It makes Minecraft look like the most genius and appealing game of all time because you can do, like, the developers, it was one of those things where it was a kind of an accidental, like, how do I say this? There's a philosophy that I like to live by that I adapted from my dad, which is under promise, over deliver, right?
Mm-hmm.
They basically did that, but accidentally. Because with that redstone thing, like you said, somebody made a computer in a computer.
Yeah.
That's like, that went from being like this tiny thing, like, ooh, new creative thing. You can do stuff differently, to like, you have literally created a new planet Earth in a
Yeah.
game. Like, you have created like a civilization, and there are not many games that can boast that. Like, very, very few.
Yeah. I think it's just like the simplicity of Minecraft because it doesn't tell you what it wants you to do, so you can literally just do anything. Like if you put your
Yeah.
mind to it, there's very little that you can't do. It's not that the game intends you to do anything, it just allows you to try it. And if you have an understanding of how the game works, you can do it.
Yeah.
It's just the simplicity allows you to do so much.
Even if you were a silly boy like me who never took the time to go onto the internet to learn anything about the game, you can still learn the stuff relatively quickly on your own.
Yeah.
Like, because I learned all of that. I learned like everything I could about Minecraft in Minecraft from
Mm-hmm.
scratch. I learned as much as I could from that. And then when I got onto the internet, I found this thing called mods. And that was an interesting time in my childhood, to be sure.
This is what
That,
I love about Minecraft. This is one thing I have to say. Minecraft, for all that's good about it, downloading any attachment to Minecraft is the sketchiest thing in the world. I don't know why. Like, you could do it for other games, and it's like, okay, this might download a computer, but like, it's a trusted site. Minecraft says it's fine, and it says it's fine, and like, it's like, oh, this is exactly what you need to do, and you'll be fine. And I'm like, I'm pretty sure I'm downloading 90 viruses on here. And it's a
yeah,
texture pack. Like, I've downloaded here from before. I know they're safe, but I'm still scared.
I've downloaded Doom freeware from DOS that's safer than Minecraft.
Exactly.
Which is so weird because it shouldn't be, because the system that they run mods on, like Forge, that's like super old too, relatively speaking. Like,
Mhm.
it doesn't not work. And like, mods made by people that they provide the links for themselves. It's not like they don't work, but there's still an air of sketchiness about it. And it makes no sense.
I know. It's like it should be fine. Like I know it's fine, but it still looks super sketchy.
Yeah. It's I've never figured out why. Uh so there's one other game that I have really grown up with as of late. And
Mhm.
I'm talking like in my teen years, I've really gotten into this game. to the point where it like consumed my algorithm for a whole year, and I just learned everything about it. And that franchise is Doom. I love Doom.
You know, I have to make a confession. Being the big pro gamer I have, I've never actually played Doom. I
You've got to play Doom at some point, dude.
I will
It
at
is
some point. It's on my
it
playlist.
is like you should play the original games first.
Mm-hmm.
It's like the 1993 Doom and Doom 2. And let me tell you, it's incredible. Like, because like I'm a musician, as people who follow my channel will know, and
Are
if
you
anybody
sure?
can see, I've got like, bruh, I wrote your theme song, dog.
I'm not so sure.
Okay, well the everything about the Doom soundtracks and like all the games has been influential in my musical journey in some way or another, but that's actually how I got into Doom in the first place. And it wasn't even the original games. It was the 2016 Doom through Mick Gordon's soundtrack that I got into that Doom. Then I learned that that's actually a spin-off of this 1993 game, which is really great. And it's like the pioneer of all first-person shooter games. It was so great that people were proud to call their games Doom clones. Like, that's enormous. I loved that. And it's so perfect because the violence in that game is so satisfying. Even in the old one, just something about watching these like 16-bit sprites just fall down or something is just and it's so easy. Well, easy. You got to play through all the difficulties too, and some of the maps are, you know, they're a little mazy, but not too difficult. It's really fun.
Yeah.
I gotta say, Doom has changed my life. For better or for worse, I don't know.
Yeah, and that thing you said about it being like, you know, a pioneer for the first person shooters is, I think that's something that's way too overlooked in gaming nowadays. Is I think there's a lot of old games that are valuable just to go back and play and like see how they influence later stuff. Because I think nowadays we fall into the trap, like a lot of the stuff made is just made, but it's really built off of the stuff that came before it. Like, and I don't think we really give enough appreciation to like older games like Half-Life or all that stuff that came out. Like, we don't think about it now, but realistically, that laid the groundwork for most of the stuff we have today.
Yeah.
And it's like, I admit this, I don't play a lot of old games, and that's on me. Mostly because I've never really had something to play them on. I had a Wii and then a PC, which honestly weren't the best for playing older games. But now that I'm finding out more ways to play them, I want to actually go back and play them because I find this stuff interesting. And, like, you know, I just recently got done playing a bunch of, like, newer Star Wars games, and it made me want to go back and play some, like, the much older ones because I want to see, like, what was this built off of.
The 2005 Star Wars Battlefront is still the greatest Star Wars game in existence, and you can't change my mind.
So that game, funny story, despite what most people would believe, I have played it. I think I still have it. Not in the way you think. I have it for the DS. I have Star Wars Battlefront 2 Classic for the DS.
Sir, Uncle Philip, my uncle showed that to me on his computer. That's a computer game.
The DS.
The DS? How did you get that on the DS? I didn't even know that was the same. Is that really on one of the platforms?
That's really a thing. Once you start looking into games, you realize that they port things over to such random systems. And I will never understand why.
Star Wars 2005 Battlefront.
PlayStation
2. Battlefront 2 2005. That's the best one. It says Xbox. It's Xbox.
It might not be the 2005 version. I know it's Battlefront 2.
There was a 2004 and then the sequel 2005. and they were both on the Xbox, the PlayStation Portable, the PlayStation 2, and Microsoft Windows. Nowhere does it say a DS anywhere.
Oh no, it's not Battlefront 2. Sorry, my mistake. Not Battlefront 2. It's Star Wars Battlefront Elite Squadron.
Battlefront Elite Squadron platforms. Elite Squadron. I don't believe I've heard of this one. Yeah, PlayStation Portable and Nintendo DS.
Yeah,
Okay.
sorry.
You have the 2009 one. Okay. Right after Renegade Squadron.
Yeah,
Okay.
that is a weird game. I'll just tell you.
I was gonna
that.
say if you had 2005 Battlefront ported to the DS, I want to
Nah, that's
know
my mistake.
who that
Sorry.
dealer was. I want to contact this guy. Jeez, that's very interesting. I don't have very much experiences with the DS, but the ones I do, I treasure a ton because they were never mine. I never had a DS, which I feel
Really?
terrible for. I never grew up with a DS. Like I said, I only ever had a Wii.
Bro.
And like my dad's phone for Angry Birds. Oh, Angry Birds. Oh my gosh. That shaped me, dude. I was molded. Oh, that game. That game. I loved that game. Angry Birds. People make fun of me because I grew up with Angry Birds, but I was there when the law was written, okay? I was a diehard fan from the start.
Exactly. Listen, people today are like all the children addicted to like their mobile games on their phones. I dislike those people because I know full well they were just going ham on Angry Birds when they were 5 years old. Like, don't pretend to me that you weren't playing Subway Surfers in your childhood. You were.
Angry Birds. Angry Birds shaped my entire personality as a child.
Yeah, Daniel just turned into a big red bird as a child.
I kid you not. That red bird is the reason my favorite color is red. I'm not kidding. I decided one day because I was so into it that for birthday presents and Christmas presents, all I would get is Angry Birds stuff. I would get Angry Birds t-shirts. I would get these little Connects building things that you would slingshot. I got like these buildable sets that I would slingshot. I got the Star Wars sets and the space sets because I played space and Star Wars. I played my heart out on all the original Angry Birds games, and that was like the one thing I just died for. And I got a book for Angry Birds stuff, and I like learned about the personalities of the birds because I realized that the birds are actual characters, and I was like, this red bird, he's my favorite color now, is red. Oh my gosh, it's been so long since I've played an Angry Birds game because they don't exist anymore.
You can find them. I'm sure you can.
It's really sketchy. I've tried. It's really hard. There's like horrendous knockoffs of them.
Oh,
And it's like the sites are sketchy as heck, dude. Like Angry Birds. That was the thing besides the Wii. Get mom or dad's phone and just play Angry Birds. And then I wouldn't play on mom's phone because dad's phone had Star Wars and I wanted to play Star Wars that day, so I had to wait for his phone to be available or something. It was so funny. Gosh dang. That's awesome. Angry Birds. Did you grow up with Angry Birds? What's your experience with it?
I didn't. I must confess, I was not much of a mobile gamer. I didn't. I found it a few years later, like maybe 2014, 2015. So not really the beginning, but I played it for a year or two. But what I do have, and I don't know why I have this, because once again, Angry Birds was never really a big part of my life. I have these pillows of like the major Angry Birds.
My gosh.
And I think I still have them. And you might actually be able to see them this summer.
You have got to show me those this summer. I will die, dude.
But yeah, I got Red Boy, The Bomb, Cube Man. See, I don't know any of their names.
You have the ice? Oh my...
I think so.
Dude! You've got the Cube Bird from Angry Birds Space. Holy cow. Dude, you are awakening the 5-year-old within me.
Angry Birds does
Holy
this to
cow.
teenage boys.
That is so weird because I'm like the only one I know besides my siblings who grew up on Angry Birds. Like, there's this core memory I have of this one friend that I had who was like the daughter of one of my dad's friends from college or something that I only ever met once. But she and I like played Angry Birds for like an hour one time. We just took turns or something. And it was so special. And playing it with my siblings was so special. It's like, I don't know. That's what I was trying to remember when I was talking about staples in my childhood as far as video games. Angry Birds, that was my first encounter with gaming around the same time as I got the Wii, but earlier than that, I think, if it was still around. Everything about it. The theme song was so catchy. I loved it. And then the Star Wars came out, and having like grown up on the original trilogy, that was like the hugest thing for me. Like, I've got my favorite movies and my favorite game in one. I lost my mind, dude. I was so addicted to that game. Just going off about Angry Birds. 17-year-old boy just goes off about Angry Birds and has mass euphoria.
Hey, I mean, if it's worth it, bro.
That game, I was devastated when they discontinued those original games. There was a part of me that's still there with those games and the original cartoons too, because they had a cartoons of them.
Wait, they had a cartoon?
Yeah, they did. They had this cartoon series that we have on DVD. Even still, they're Angry Birds toons. They're like each toon is like 2 minutes and 45 seconds, and like the original ones, the first 2 seasons are gold, absolute gold. They're the stupidest things you'll ever watch, but they are so funny. And oh my gosh, I remember when Dad showed that to us. We just binged them so hard. That's all we would watch. It's great. That was the first thing that matched my level of joy, like watching something. That was the first thing that had matched that level of awesomeness since Cars. And the Cars, as I was told, was the only movie as like a 3-year-old that I actually liked. Every other movie I hated, but Cars was the thing. I don't know why. I don't even remember that far back. That's just what I was told. And Cars has been the staple of my life as far as movies go, alongside Star Wars, and Angry Birds has been the staple for video games. That's going back to toddler days, man. Gosh dang.
Those were olden times. A whole 15 years ago. Decade
Really?
and a half.
December 10, 2009 was the Angry Birds initial release date. Oh man.
Yeah,
that makes me feel old. I was born in 2005.
That's 13 years ago. Dang.
Oh my gosh. Wow. I holy cow, I just had a moment.
We are old people now.
We're
starting to realize
That's so weird too. It's like we're not even that old, you and me. Like, we're not even 18, you and I, but we're considering ourselves to be old people because stuff has just moved on so far and so fast from that.
Yeah,
like we're a completely different generation from those that are like 10 years old now.
That is scary, bro. I don't like that.
That is something actually. I'll talk about that briefly. The generational gap between people, according to old people, is shrinking. Like, the generational gaps are actually closing, like, as far as time goes. And I actually will agree with that, because there's a guy I know who's like, I don't know, 19, 20 or something. And he feels like a completely different person to me. He doesn't quite feel like one of my own people, because he grew up with different stuff. He was there when Minecraft was born. He was there. as one of the first customers of Minecraft. He was there for like the Smash scene, and he was there for like a ton of different stuff I couldn't even dream about. And it's stuff like that, just like this really makes me like video games is actually kind of a funny but really accurate testimony to how different everything is. I mean, even you and me, we're only a few months apart, you and I, but we've grown up on different stuff, and kids that aren't even like, I don't know, 12, like kids that aren't even 5 years younger than us have grown up on completely different stuff. Like, I don't know, newer Call of Duty games or Fortnite or something else. It's stuff I can't relate to.
It still in any means. My brain that like Fortnite was like a big game. Like I cannot explain how unfathomable that is to me. That like Fortnite was like the new Minecraft. Like that's still weird to me.
I heard so many people say Fortnite was the new Minecraft, and I was like, what are you on about? It's not even the same genre. But it was just as popular. I gotta say, the tournaments, and holy cow, the tournaments too for that competitive scene is something else. The prize pools for that are enormous.
I will say, for as much as I like to clown on the Fortnite community, which I will, I might enjoy aspects of the game, but the community is utterly cringe, which I can say because half of those people were YouTubers for Minecraft back when I was paying attention to that, and even little old me knew they were cringe. Like, they were cringe back then.
Yeah.
But
everybody and their grandma was covering Fortnite, dude. And it was weird because it always gave off this air of uneasiness to me. Like, Fortnite had this presence around it that never felt the same as when Minecraft was a thing for me. Mm-hmm. So when Fortnite rolled around, I kind of actively stayed away from it because people kept calling it the new Minecraft and such, and I was shocked by how positively this game was being received. And I was learning stuff about it, and it was like, there's something about it that just wasn't, it was just so different.
Yeah.
It was covered so differently. There were different kinds of people that did it. And it totally like screwed with my brain too, because I'm like, what is this? Because it looked typical. It looks like a typical game to me even still. It's like, how in the world did this become so popular? It's not revolutionizing or anything. It's not like a pioneer of some new expansion of a genre, is it?
No, not really. Really, realistically, and this is something that I brought up like for 30 seconds in my Fortnite video, is really what it has over other games is the building. Realistically, that and its more cartoony art style is really the only thing that sets it apart. I think it was just something that was easily marketable to children and just happened to come at the right time. Whereas something like Minecraft, I think, kind of created its own success. Fortnite's success was kind of created by the environment around it. Like they were looking for something new for, the little children since Minecraft was dying off. And Fortnite just happened to be a really good game to fit that bill. And so it just kind of became a big thing just because of its circumstances.
It became hammed up. It became hammed up as such a huge meme, though, once people started to realize that the dopamine hits were so different from Fortnite versus other games.
Yeah.
Like, there were different behaviors from the kids that played it, like, initially that, like, scared a lot of people off. But it still rose to be, like, the biggest game. The other thing about that game that I heard about that really made it make its name was what I would call fan service of it. Like stuff in it that's like references to pop culture and such, like the skins and how there's like references to stuff. I mean, for goodness sakes, there's like one of the only instruments in that entire game that's like used as a weapon or something is the Dean from Hell. Like Dimebag Darrell's Lightning ML graphic guitar is in that game. Like, how notorious does it? Like, it makes no sense to me how that made it in there, but it did, and it's kind of funny.
Yeah, like that's the other thing about Fortnite is sometimes they throw things in there that I just find hilarious. Like recently I went in there, I just looked at the shop and like what new skins they added. And one of them was Ezio from the Assassin's Creed genre. And I was just sitting there staring at that like what demographic who plays this game is going to remember that? Like I barely remember that he was a thing.
Assassin's Creed is almost an entirely different generation, dude. At that point, it is.
Yeah, like they had like the new game skins. Like, okay, I can get that. But that one was like way back in the early 2000s. Like I remember
That's like
those
throwing.
games coming out. Who remembers
That's like
this?
throwing Master Chief. That's like throwing Master Chief from Halo in there,
Exactly.
which they did, didn't they?
Yeah,
Didn't
they
they throw
did
Master
too.
Chief in there? Yeah, I was so confused when they did that because I'm like, Halo's way old at this point.
Like I
Halo
understand brand
1.
recognizability, and I think kids today would recognize Halo and like Assassin's Creed.
Halo is 2001. That game is 20 years old.
Yeah, who would remember specific characters who are that young? Like people like us would remember it because we're the age demographic for that. But the
Yeah.
majority of people playing that game are much younger. So who is this for?
God knows. Maybe it's just for the adults to get a kick out of if there's any adults playing it. But
It
like
must
the
be.
adults that do play it are millennial YouTubers. They don't know who Dimebag is. They might not even know who Master Chief is if they're that stupid. I mean, there's rumors going around that the Doomslayer himself is going to be in Fortnite.
I would not.
I don't think anybody. I don't think half the people even know who the Doomslayer is.
Yeah.
Oh, though to be fair, you'd have to be living under a rock because after the success of Doom Eternal and how it made
True.
like what it grossed like $550 million in its first year.
But I don't know if like the Doom guy is that iconic from the game. Like I recognize him because he was in a lot of the older games that I would recognize if I saw like the cover art of it. But I don't know. Like it's pretty popular, but I just don't know how recognizable he would be to like the youths.
I think 50% of the people that would play it wouldn't know who he is. Like, regardless of which skin you throw in, you could give him the Doom Eternal skin or you could give him the 1993 skin. It doesn't matter. I don't think there will be that many people that recognize him, which is really strange because it's not only an age demographic at that point, too, but it's also a genre demographic, which is sort of explainable how you play games like Fortnite and not games like Doom.
Yeah.
Like you wouldn't play games like Doom or Quake or Wolfenstein or something like that. Sorry. But games like Fortnite and like there's so much stuff in there that like some people don't know about. Like you remember when they put in that there's a DJ artist, Marshmello, I believe his name is.
Yes.
They threw him in the game for a brief period, right? Or is he still in? I don't know. He was in the game.
Yeah,
and
he's in the game.
it was like, was he big at the time they threw him in the game? Because like,
I think so.
it's weird because the DJ scene has always been one that's kind of weird to follow as a musician.
Mm-hmm.
So as a gamer, it's even weirder to see like Daft Punk. I would see getting in the game because they're the actual like big ones that everybody else is a spin-off of.
Yeah.
In some sense. Like they're the forefathers of EDM. They're the forefathers of house and dance. But Marshmello, like I guess if he's well known enough, but I didn't know enough about him to like there's so much stuff too. Like the list just goes on and on and on. There's like I don't know. You could throw Batman in there and kids would get like who he is, but like nobody would get who he is if you're like a Batman fan like I am.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know. It's so weird. Gaming really is, I'll say it again, really is a testimony to how quickly society progresses.
Yeah.
Because we're talking about stuff that we don't even relate to people of our own technical generation. Mm-hmm. Like our generation ends at what? 2018, 2020? Around there?
Not 2020. I think it's earlier. I think like the earliest back, some people say even like 2015.
Generation Z starts in 1995, according to most people I talk to.
Hmm.
So 2015, okay, yeah, that's fair. Like we're talking about, and like, so you and I are born in 2005 or something, and we can't even relate to a lot of stuff that kids from like 2010 or 11 were like accustomed to.
Yeah,
And
really.
it's so weird. It
Hmm.
is so weird because my family grows my younger siblings basically grow up with mostly the same stuff I do with differences. They don't have the Wii, but they have the Nintendo 64. And I have memories with the Nintendo 64, so it's not that different. But my brothers don't relate to the friends their own age who have like Fortnite or something because my brothers actually make games on uh, uh, they make their own games,
Hmm.
and they're like 2D side scrollers that are like Commander Keen style. I don't even know if you know Commander Keen. That is a little known side scroller game from id Software, same company that made Doom and Wolfenstein and Quake. Um, but like Commander Keen was something I grew up with, I guess. So did my siblings, but it's like little known games. We grew up a lot with a lot of little known games, relatively speaking. None of the kids nowadays know what Angry Birds is. That's for sure, and that breaks my heart.
Well, no, there was the movie that came out, the critically acclaimed Angry Birds movie.
Okay, I have conflicted feelings with that because I had to watch that for an animation class back when I was studying 3D animation, and it's a very well made movie visually. But like for so many kids, that was their introduction to Angry Birds, and I was so embarrassed. I was so embarrassed for everybody my age who grew up with that game, and it was like, that was a wound. That's a scar that still remains. It's so it's so bizarre, like how radically different stuff can be people's introductions to what they believe to be, the thing. It's like people listening to new Metallica as being their introduction to it, whereas like or any music, it's like you listen to a certain time period of some artist that you like, and it's completely different depending on the artist. It's like so weird.
Yeah.
But that's kind of the beauty of it too, I guess, with video games. It's like it's kind of built to be that way, isn't it?
Hmm.
I don't know. Maybe that's why Minecraft is still as successful as it is, because it can still appeal to such a mass new audience and not deter the old audience by saying, "Oh, it's too new." But it doesn't deter any new people away for them to say it's an old fogies game, because at this point we're both old fogies,
Yeah.
because that's
We're
what
old men.
Minecraft is. Yeah, at this point we are in that sense. But like maybe that's why the few games that still stick around for as long as they do, maybe that's why, because it's like it's still something about it still retains its originality, but makes it timeless.
Yeah.
That's so difficult to do, but I honestly don't think it's done that consciously, and maybe that's why it works.
I think for stuff like that, for like for classics, really, no matter what they are, I think every classic, I think you can't really create a classic, right? It has to kind of come organically. I don't think it's something that you can really manufacture. It's something that
Oh,
can just kind of happen on its own.
oh yeah.
Like,
No, yeah, classics are all, yeah, it happens on its own, and people are just like, oh wow, I didn't know this would get popular. Well, I mean, Doom was made by a bunch of silly guys in a room, and they're just like, yeah, let's see what happens with this. It gets huge. They released Doom 2, it gets huger, but like with stuff like that, it's like nobody perceives that kind of stuff being big. Nobody perceives any kind of their stuff being that big unless somehow they know. But like the world is a different kind of algorithm. You can't bait it like you can with YouTube.
yeah.
Like mass media such as that is not, it's not like that. It's always unprecedented.
I think that's something that I kind of have an issue with is I'm just going to bring up Star Wars for example here. And some of the
Yeah.
issues I had with the Disney sequels and that I think I actually think they fixed with some of their games, which check out my channel. I'm reviewing two of them very soon.
Excellent. Excellent.
One of them might actually be out before this airs, so we'll see how
Oh,
that
wow.
works.
Okay.
But I feel like with the sequel, like movie trilogy, they were trying to create classics and it didn't work. But something like a game that I recently completed, and by recently I mean like a month ago, Jedi Fallen Order, I think it's a really solid game that's like not going to go down as like a classic, but it's going to go down as a pretty well known, pretty well liked game. And they clearly weren't trying to make a classic. They were just trying to make the story and game they wanted to play. Heck, it didn't even start off as a Star Wars game. Like, and I think that's
Really?
really, yeah, it was,
I didn't know that.
as I
Huh.
understand it, it started out a different game, and then its producers thought it would fit well in the Star Wars and just kind of evolved from there. Could be wrong, but that's something I saw. But it's something
Interesting.
that you can't create a classic. And that's what I really like. I really like a lot of indie games. And I think that's the thing. It's like you're not trying to create a classic, you're just trying to make your game. And I
Yeah.
think stuff like Doom also exerts that. That's like it's not trying to force this, like super popular game. Like even stuff like Fortnite, I think it tries a little too hard.
Yeah.
Like,
No, it's stuff that's just there, and we'll
yeah.
see if the public takes it. And it's what the public does with it that makes it remembered for what it is.
Yeah, and it's
I
not
mean,
like that's a recipe for success because I know there's plenty of games that I think deserve a lot more recognition than they got because
oh
it's
yeah,
like it's just there and no one really paid attention to it. But at the same time, I think there's plenty of stuff that people did really take a liking to and became classics. It's something that you can't make. You just have to take that risk.
oh yeah. That's almost everything in life, honestly. There is one game series that I've been really getting into studying lately, for the last like month or so, because yeah, I'm that late to the party, and it's something that really doesn't look like it was created to be a classic at all, but somehow it got such a cult following that it's just this thing that you have to know about if you spend more than a nanosecond on the internet. I think at least that's how it was. That's how it was approached to me.
Hmm.
That's how it was brought up to me. It's how it was presented, and that is Five Nights at Freddy's.
Yep. Yeah. No, I,
That
I agree with that. You cannot spend time on the internet and not know what it is. Bro, back when I was a little stupid child in like 2015, I was aware of its existence. I didn't spend time
same,
online. And like I understood that it existed. Like
same. I don't even know how I knew it existed, but somehow I did. It was it was something that was just always like it never but it still doesn't make sense to me how it even got popular to begin with, because that
mhm.
first game is so simple
Yeah.
and so un what's the word, not unsupposing, it's so not, I don't know,
It doesn't look like a classic. What it
it
looks
doesn't
like
look like anything
Yeah, it looks like
to
honestly,
me.
this is something that I will say the first Five Nights at Freddy's. I would even say a lot of them until some of the later ones look like free Steam games I would find. Like that's not a
Yeah,
dig at them. That's just how they appear to me. Like and I
agreed,
haven't played
agreed.
them, but what I know of them, I find them interesting. I don't think they're bad games by any means, but like just at a first glance, they look like free Steam games.
I watched the Markiplier playthrough of the first Five Nights at Freddy's game from like 9 years ago,
Mhm.
like back when it was first out or something. Um, it just felt like a typical jump scare game to me, but it also didn't really feel that typical because I'm not that well acquainted with horror games. I knew of like Slender Man's existence, and that was enough to scare me at night, but like I don't have very much experience with horror games in general, so FNAF was like really scary for me. And I watched recently this video essay on the entire FNAF timeline as a story. And granted that some of it is theory,
Yeah.
he managed to tie it together in such a cohesive manner that it feels like the story that a genius has been writing since he was born.
Yeah.
And it's something that has been, that video to introduce that to me has honestly been instrumental in my own story writing. It's the story and the fact that there was a story to it at all. Like back when that first game was released, if you had told me that there was like going to be this lore and this drawn out story about a psychopath that kills all these children and puts them in animatronic suits, and there's like all this deep stuff that's so emotionally heavy from a game like that,
Mm-hmm.
I would have laughed in your face and left. Never spoken to you again.
Yeah.
But it's
yeah, honestly, like the storyline for NAF, I think is masterclass. Um, honestly, it's so amazing that that happened. It really is. It's something stunning, and it's something that it feels like an ARG to me. It honestly feels like one of those like weird rabbit holes, like internet stories that you can fall down sometimes. Like just it's just such an expansive thing that it's like it's stunning to look at it.
it's it's it should be nightmare fuel, but it's so fantastic.
It's too
And
interesting to be scary, to be honest to me.
yeah, that's the weirdest thing. It's like if you're playing the game, it's scary, yeah. But like analyzing the story and the lore, and like, and this is coming from a guy that, and like all this, all that story comes from a guy that used to build Christian games because he was a
Yeah.
like an open conservative Christian. I think he was Catholic, but I don't know for sure. But this is coming from a guy who's like a Christian who used to make like these Christian based games for children,
Which
like stuff to teach you Bible stories. This mad lad created this unbelievable story, and it's like, blah.
yeah.
This guy.
Which, I mean, to be fair, his early Christian games are, in my opinion, much scarier than FNAF. Uh,
Wait, what? I haven't gotten
Some
that.
of the models are terrifying. They're so uncanny, I don't like them.
Scott Cawthon Christian games. I haven't looked too much into his other games other than FNAF. Like I said, I just got into it really.
Yeah, I got into it a while back by the story, but now, the newest game, Security Breach. This is really when I've decided I actually want to pay attention to this game franchise, purely because that game was so horrible in so many ways that I'm just kind of like, I am very interested in this now.
It's so interesting to me that people criticize the game so much because on the one hand, I don't know why. I because because from that video that I watched with the entire timeline, Security Breach is actually pretty good as far as the story. I thought, sure, it's like such a separate new chapter, but in the story itself, it's like it's not the worst.
Yeah, it's not the worst. I have the least. I honestly, the story is fine. Like, I don't particularly like it, to be fair, but I'm also completely understanding that game's only been out for a while, so like if you think about how much like we're the people still find about like the first game, I'm willing to believe there's a lot of stuff that's been missed.
Yeah.
But overall, it's mostly just the game itself that I like just find hilariously bad. And it's not even like a bad game per se. It just was executed poorly. And I find stuff like that really interesting. Like I really like want
Was
to
it the
understand.
gameplay or the graphics or what was
The
going on?
graphics are in general fine. It's horribly optimized it's super easy to like basically deload the game to the point where if you do correct, if you like play the game in a correct order, you can finish the game in 3 minutes. It's just not a very well made
So
game.
it's just easily hackable, is what it is.
Yeah, but it's also like accidentally hackable. Like it's so easy to break completely that many people just playing on a normal like game run used to be able to just completely break the game. So,
That's kind of funny.
yeah, it's interesting from that level. But yeah, I don't know. The story is I'm not a big fan of the story, but
Maybe you have seen this video that I speak of.
I might have.
It's FNAF time. Here we go. I have it bookmarked because I just loved it that much. It's so. And the best part is that there's going to be there's more videos from this guy in regards to FNAF. He just released a video about the Five Nights at Freddy full book timeline, like separate from the games.
Oh yeah.
So there's books too. And it starts. Okay, so I'm sending it to you in this call chat. It's this video from Hyperdroid. I don't know if that user is familiar to you.
That doesn't sound familiar.
You should really watch this and get back to me on what you think about it, because the entire story and then plus security breach along with it is so it's so perfect. It should be absolutely terrifying. Like you said, that story should be like nightmare fuel bonkers, but it's so good.
Yeah.
I don't understand why it's so appealing. I love it. And like I've never played any of the games, even still, but it's so good.
Mm-hmm.
The story is just it's so perfectly capturing.
Yeah.
I love it. That's the game I've been into the most recently. I started to stop looking so much into Doom after I figured I learned everything about it, because I guess I did. So I was like, what game should I go for next? I see this all across the internet and around memes and such. I'll go for FNAF. I watched the first run through and I'm like, holy cow, this is a game that has lore attached to it. Like, bruh. And then I watched that video because that came up in my recommendations and I was like, oh, my life has changed. My life has changed. That's, yeah.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think of any other
there's
games.
some games that just their storyline eclipses like just everything else. Like one of the reasons, one of the games that I said is my favorite, and honestly, it might be one of my favorite games of all time, is The Force Unleashed, and that's simply because I just love the story so much. Like,
Yeah.
in every measure, it's not the greatest game in the world, but I just love the story it tells so much that it's just one of my favorite games to play through and just experience the story. And I think there's a lot of games like that. This is one of the things that like I like to, that I think I've said on my channel before, or that might have been a scrap video. I don't remember. I think there's really 3 axes to like any video game. There's story, gameplay, and fun. And you can do all 3 very well in the same game. But I think certain games tend to lead to certain things. Because take something like, there's basically this meme game called Muck, which is objectively not the best gameplay and has practically no story, but it's super fun, so I really like it. There's certain games that it plays really into the storyline and I like it. There's other ones where I just like how the game plays, even though I might dislike
And then there are the
it.
kinds of games with like no story to it because it's all gameplay and all fun. Like, oh, I don't know. I have to bring this up because this can't be a gameplay video without it. Among Us.
Exactly. Like
Among Us, dude.
Among Us.
Sus. Amogus.
I hate the fact that Among Us was alive for like
Amogus.
2 weeks and will have more cultural impact than like any other game. I hate it so much.
Oh, it's so great though. Those
It,
memes stayed in my recommendations for 6 whole months. I was so happy.
like, I hope everyone in the world realizes that our generation will be in the 80s and we will still reference Among Us. No one will have played Among Us in 2,000 years. And we'll still just be like, sus.
You and I talking one day in front of our great grandchildren or something, and they're just like, these poor old people, they should be in a retirement home. And we're just like, sus. You took the last piece of bread, didn't you? I'm casting sus on you.
Vote him out.
And that will be funny to us.
Yeah.
And that will not be funny to anybody else. It won't be funny to the people who are like 5 years old right now. It won't be funny to my children unless somehow the memes make a resurgence, but nothing will make a resurgence like that, and not that late.
Yeah.
Trollface, even Trollface, he took like 10 years, and that's like even almost too long in and of itself to make a resurgence.
Yeah, its resurgence is entirely like, weirdly enough, it's meme based. It's entirely like, it's funny because it's old.
Well, yeah, because the game is like 2018.
Yeah.
It's not, but then it got popular in COVID for some reason, and then the memes rolled in.
See, when the Among Us memes came out, that was the first time that I understood why, like, adults look at teenagers like little toddlers who are bumbling about saying random things. That was the first time I actually understood that. I was like, it's not wrong.
But I don't care. I'm still going to have fun with this.
Too much fun.
I feel that. No, I remember it because I played Among Us for the first time in a group of friends at a Halloween party one time. And my dad was just face palming the whole time because he's like, what in the world is this? And I'm like, Dad, it's Among Us.
It's Among Us.
It's Among Us.
You wouldn't understand, boomer.
He's Gen X. Chill.
They're all boomers.
At this point,
over
yeah.
25 is a boomer, and you can't change my mind.
Anybody that isn't a millennial is just a boomer.
Yeah.
That is more true, unironically, than people think. And that's really scary, but it's also really funny. Because there's still those few people that are like my dad's age, like my dad. My dad is one of those few people that actually like can stay hip and in the know without being a cringy old person, right?
Yeah.
Like he's actually very well knowledged in the meme without being cringe, right? Because you hear even in meme culture and unironically about so many like older people that try to be hip, like that old TV show clip. Like I'm sure you've seen it. How do you do, fellow kids?
Fellow kid?
Yeah, that one. There's so many people even still that think that they do that, and then we're just like, no, you will never be sus. And
you will never be the sussy imposter. Don't try.
You will never be the sussy baka. You will never be my little PogChamp.
Oh God.
I had to reference that. Somebody in the comment sections is gonna write me a furious hate message for that.
I do not want to be your little pox.
How dare you reference that? PogChamp. That was actually one of the first memes I ever saw on the internet was the PogChamp memes. I was so scared. I was so confused by that. I
just want, like, in 200 years, some random person to, like, come across the Wayback Machine and just look back at, like, the memes. It just be like, oh, that's why we failed as a civilization. Like, oh, dude, that makes sense now.
I long for... No, dude, at the rate society is going and how it goes so fast, that'll happen before you and I are even old, man. That'll happen surely in our lifetime. I mean, at one point, the letter E was funny. Granted, it was coupled with Markiplier's face,
letter
but
E
it's
still
E.
funny. It's
the
still
letter E,
funny.
Yes. It's still funny. And F in the chat for all the dead memes.
I come across that meme like once every month, just randomly, and it always makes me laugh because I'm never expecting it.
Yeah, same,
It just
same,
appears out of nowhere, and I'm like,
the same, dude. The best thing though is when I see like randomly like these dead memes as they call them now, like coming back to life, like that music meme of the African casket dancers.
yeah,
That was the funniest stinking thing like a year ago. And now that's just a typical thing that a new person to the internet, like somebody who's just spent a week on the internet, does because, oh, look at me. Oh my gosh, it was a meme. It's a funny. And I'm like, bro, we've moved on. That was a whole year ago.
bro, not funny.
Oh my gosh.
I kind of feel sorry for people who are new to the internet that like aren't young, because if you're young, it's acceptable. You learn over time. But if you're coming in just somewhat unknowledgeable, you get so bullied so quickly for not
I
being in
know.
the know.
Oh,
And it's like,
it's so
I feel
sad.
bad for you, but at the same time, kind of cringe, my dude.
But then you have to explain it that it's cringe, and then it's like you can explain why r/atheism is cringe, and like half the subreddits in the universe,
Yeah,
because those have been memed out of existence.
yeah.
They've been memed to hell and back. That's
I
why I subscribe to videos to YouTube channels like Lessons in Meme Culture, because I like to keep in the know. I mean, because like r/place is so 7 days ago.
Bro, r/place had like, it was so underhyped. Like, I knew what the original one was, and literally one day I just happened to look on Reddit for some reason, and I'm like, what the heck? There's a second one? What? I just got confused. And then like 2 days later, someone who I watched mentioned it. I was like, oh.
L plus ratio memes are hanging on by a thread.
L plus ratio
Oh, here's a good one.
is hilarious if you use
Mr.
it in the
Incredible
wrong
becoming
context.
uncanny memes. Mr. Incredible. Listen, okay, funny story. I know this is deterred from gaming to memes, but they kind of go hand in hand.
They're
if
the
you
same
really
thing.
want to. The same thing at this point. Basically, though, I found out after an entire month's to 2 months worth of studying that Mr. Incredible becoming uncanny memes was actually the source of my nightmares. And I was incredibly addicted to them because they were so terrifying, but they were so cool too, because like disturbing facts, like a baby's adult teeth are directly under its eyes. That isn't actually that disturbing, because if you think about it, like anatomically, that makes sense, because the adult teeth grow in.
Yeah,
and
but
they don't even have
I
their
don't
baby
want
teeth grown
my
in.
teeth under my eyes. That sounds uncomfortable.
Yeah, that's the thing though. And like they're still going. Mr. Incredible memes are still there. They're just kind of like dropped out, I guess. Here's a good one. Lean. That was so last month. Lean. The purple thing. I just, and then there are those things that only are meant to stick around for a week, like, and they're totally fine with it. I don't know how to bring this up without being like very unchild friendly. I don't know, push and pee. That was okay. But
I swear that Among Us was like supposed to be the thing. Like it was supposed to stick around for a week, and some meme lord accidentally switched the wrong button and just made it infinite.
Some butt on the internet decided to make Among Us this everlasting thing. People I know still quote it to me, and I just laugh compulsively. Like I'm contractually obligated to laugh to this hot garbage.
I can't explain to you why it's funny. It just is.
It's just, I know, that's the dumbest part. It's just funny. I'll never be able to explain why. What else? I mean, there's always stuff. Oh, that's the new stuff. Metal Gear Rising Revengeance memes.
What?
You know those, right?
No. I'm not in the
Oh
know.
my gosh. How do you not know of these? You don't.
Uh,
That's like the one thing that like made gamers and memers unite. Besides Among Us, it's like, what are
I
you
hate
talking about?
both of them, so
Standing,
I
standing
am
here,
both of them.
there will be bloodshed. No, the songs you don't get the.
Oh, oh no, I think I do know what you're talking
You
about.
have to know these. You come on, you
Yes,
have to know
I
what these
think
are.
I know what you're talking about.
The Senator Armstrong thing where he's just punching him and like he's just standing there and like nothing he
Oh,
does.
oh, yes, yes. Okay, I know exactly what you're talking about. Yeah,
Yeah,
yes.
those are still funny to me. I don't know why, but those are still funny. Um, this conversation died, but that's good because we got to cut this soon anyway. I got like 1 minute.
Yeah.
Um,
Although I will say, this is my favorite thing about the internet is simultaneously so mean to newcomers and so wholesome. Like they will just absolutely rail into you and then be like, by the way, this is why this is cringe. So if you just want to change that in the future, I'm sure you'll be fine. Love to see you here. And then they'll like threaten to dox your mother. like
they'll threaten to do your mom and dox you.
Yeah. And then they'll like explain to you how you can make a better meme and then just leave like that's completely normal.
It's kind of a throwback to ancient like primal civilizations. You do stuff right or you do stuff wrong. It's almost like a survival of the fittest, except on the internet everyone is anonymous. Like that's one of the rules of the internet. So technically speaking, you have infinite chances.
Yeah.
Just as long as you can cover it up right. It's
Which
so
most
funny.
people can't because the internet is the biggest pool of detectives ever, which is mildly terrifying.
Just a bit.
I'm fairly
Just a
sure
bit.
if the internet wanted to try, it could like solve world hunger and end all crimes, but instead they're just like, Among Us?
We have solved world hunger, but I don't know. If the internet wanted to, here's a better thing. They could probably find the nuclear codes.
Oh yeah,
They
no, they
don't.
probably could. I
I think they probably have, and somebody is
yeah.
being held hostage because they found out.
I like
I
to
think we have.
imagine there is just someone out there with all these world secrets and like they just did it for fun, so they just kind of have all of it and have no plans on using any of it. And they're just like, "Yep, this is fine."
They just do it to scare the governments that are like, "Oh my gosh, somebody has the codes," and we're just like, da 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 da, you know.
Yeah,
You
the
know what would be
internet in
crazy?
the like 2 years of it, like, wouldn't it be funny if we got rid of Ireland?
Yeah, dude, I swear to you, at this point, I'm positive that if not now, sometime in the next 5 years, the secrets of Area 51 and all military bases have or will be actually found out, and they will be released by somebody, but nobody will believe him because it's just another superstition or another theory. Who knows? It may even be
It
out there
probably
as
is
like
already out there.
what's in Area 51, and like nobody believes it because every claim is just as good as the next one.
Yeah,
Just discarded
exactly.
as superstition.
Because there's like no way you can get proper evidence for stuff like that. So it's like all the conspiracies on the internet. Now, don't get me wrong, some of them are utterly
Well, because
insane.
you have to dig so deep that like by the time you actually can prove evidence, you actually can't because the government has like arrested you for prying into national matters.
Yeah, exactly. So like the truth is out there somewhere. Like we'll
It
just
has
never
to be.
know it. There's just no way
That's
to
the
tell which one it is.
And that's the other thing about the internet, because on the other hand, it can destroy your life in like, and you could literally know everything in the world because of the internet. And at the same time, you could know absolutely nothing.
Yeah.
And you can be both.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah. My personal thing about the internet is I think so long as you don't take it super seriously, you'll be fine. Um, you know, I just have fun with it. Like I'm saying,
Yeah.
I find it hilarious that people are simultaneously so mean and so wholesome in like the same sentence on the internet. Like most people are like, that's terrible. I just find it funny. Like nowhere else
Same.
people are gonna be like, I'm going to kill you. Also, nice hat, but I want to kill your family. Like,
And that is the one thing. Old people say that levity is the lost art of the 21st century, but that right there is what makes the internet so beautiful. That is actually levity of the 21st century. That being so mean, that trolling and being kind at the same time is so appealing to me. I love that. It's the perfect anarchy.
yes,
And it is glorious.
like I said, my perfect idea of being a criminal is I want to break into people's houses and just mess with them. Just move stuff around their house and leave. Not do anything actually harmful. Just mess with them and confuse them. Cause
The most I'll take is a gallon of milk, and that's it.
like just imagine coming home one day, your window is shattered, and the only thing that's changed is your carton of eggs is now upstairs in your bed. Like that is terrifying, but like
That is terrifying because you think that like something else has happened. Like you check your safe, it's all there. You check everything else, it's all there, and like, am I sure there's nothing? You can drive people insane.
exactly. Like he
Like,
can't have just moved my eggs. That doesn't make sense.
But I did.
But I
and
did.
You'll never know because I'm long gone.
Exactly. I should have a license to break into people's home just to do this. Government, I swear I won't do anything bad. I just want to move people's eggs around.
If he ever gets around to it, I'll join you. I've done that to people at their houses, believe it or not. I have done that. I pulled a trick on my sleepy aunt, God bless her. She was so sleepy because she had just gotten up, and she pulled out like 3 candy bars out of a jar to wake her up, and she moves to put the jar back in the cabinet, and I take one of the candy bars and put it in my pocket, hold a straight face. She turns around, there's only 2. She gets confused. She pulls out the jar, puts another one out, and then turns around to put the jar back. I put the candy bar back. There's 4. And we do the same thing for like 3 more times. And I couldn't I busted a gut at the end of it. My grandmother was dying with me, and my aunt was so mad. That is peak criminal attitude right there.
Just confuse people.
That is prime mischief right there. Oh, that's good. Anyways, moral of the story, video games are awesome. The internet is a beautiful place. We do a little trolling.
Yeah, we do. I can't wait in 2 years to be like, we do a little trolling and Area 51 is like on fire behind somebody. Like, that's gonna happen. We did a little trolling. We overthrew the American government.
Dude, we do a little trolling is also going to be the boomer phrase for like the next generation. I'm gonna say that in front of some kid, and they're gonna be like, "What?" And I'm gonna be like, "What?" And they're like, "You silly old person." And I'm like, "Dude, I'm 19."
This is why I can't wait to be old. I can't wait to make the children die of cringe.
That will be fun, and then I will understand why old people are still as happy as they are.
Yeah.
Anyways, my dad is standing there now, so we gotta end this.
Well, thank you all for watching. It's been a pleasure to have you here. You can figure out who that you is referring to, Daniel, the audience, or you on the screen. So, good luck figuring out who I'm referring to.
Have fun on the internet, kids.
Yeah, have fun on the internet. Don't die on the internet. And don't download any, like, Minecraft extensions. It's not worth the stress.
Don't even download a texture pack, honestly. As beautiful as they look, just
don't download
okay.
Minecraft.
just don't get Minecraft. We don't. It's the best game ever. Just don't.
But don't get it.
But don't get it.
All right. With that, we're signing off. Goodbye.
Goodbye.